Vijay Drakoi. I will speak now.
Oh, hello. Just a moment. I'll be right with you. My apologies. I was seeing to a new arrival of goods, brought here only this morning. What can I do for you? Why, yes, I am Mr. Dhrogadhi. The fact that this name is known to you tells me much. Where did you hear it first, pray tell? In a dream, no less. I see. Well, that is the usual means by which folk learn of my name. And did this dream instruct you on how to find my cozy little place of business as well? Or did you find your way here by happy accident? Well, I'm glad to see you here. Every customer is a welcome guest. What can I do for you on this fine day? Oh, did the dream not tell you that? Then I suppose my wares may need some explaining. Look around you. What do you see? A small, very slightly run-down looking shop. Old wooden shelves, random furniture, and scattered all about strange curios. Items that would not seem to match their surroundings for the most part. Each of these strange little items represents a place, what I like to call a sanctum. Such places are separate from this world, from your world. They don't exist in such a way that you could walk to them, or find your way directly to them in any manner at all. Not unless you be of much greater skill and power than I sense. Think of these places as pocket realms, then. A little pocket of existence where the ordinary concerns of life do not apply. And indeed, where some of the rules of normal existence need not apply. As I said, they exist apart from your world. Each sanctum is situated all by itself, in a little section of one of the chaos realms. And that's what I really sell here. Not the objects, but the places themselves. A sanctum of your very own, to use when and how you see fit. Let us not discuss prices just yet. While I appreciate your practicality, my prices are rather steep, some might say. Steep, but perfectly reasonable, given the unique quality of my wares. So allow me first to show you some of the things, the places that I have for sale. And after you have seen them, perhaps we can talk pricing. Please, have a seat right over here. You'll want to be comfortable, as my sales pitch can be rather lengthy, and it would be rude to keep you standing for so long. Now, to begin with, we have this lovely stone sculpture here. It's much lighter than it appears, on account of how much material has been removed from it in the sculpting. A granite cube of this size should be quite heavy, and yet it is not. See how it is carved all around with steps and stairways going over and under and around each other. See all the tunnels going through it, all the little passageways. This beautiful stone sculpture represents a sanctum concealed far underground, a solid, robust castle, surrounded by a meandering labyrinth, all carved into the very rock of a cavern buried deep within the realm of Earth. Would you like to see it? I thought so. Your curiosity is piqued, no? This item is not keyed to any particular owner yet, so it will not respond directly to your touch alone. However, since I have it in hand, you may likewise place your own hand upon it, and we may enter. My apologies. Were you not expecting such an abrupt transition? Surely you were not in doubt over what sort of wares I have to offer. I can assure you, what I am selling is very real. What you are seeing is very real. Where we are standing is very real. As real as you or me. Now, when you are calm enough, look around you. No need to stand up. For the sake of convenience, I have even brought your chair with us. As I said in the shop, this is a sanctum in the realm of Earth. The arrival point for this sanctum is in the middle of the main courtyard of the castle. All around us are the towering stone walls and turrets of this stalwart structure. There are torches enough all throughout to light the entire space. Indeed, to light up the very roof of this cavern, some hundreds of feet over our heads. And if you look out there, yes, just along my arm, you can see out through the main gate and over the drawbridge. Beyond the moat, and yes, every proper castle must have its moat. Beyond the moat lies the labyrinth. It fills the rest of the cavern and stretches perhaps a mile in every direction out from the castle. It too is lit with torches, though not nearly to such an extent. Light in the labyrinth is not so very needful as within the walls. There is a sunstone worked into the roof of this cavern, should you require something more like the daylight you are used to. But it can be turned on and off at your pleasure, as can torches. Indeed, there are many different aspects of the appearance of this little sanctum that can be altered to suit your fancies. Most of them, in fact, can be altered with little more than a thought and a wave of the hand. If you like, later on, we might make a more thorough inspection of the various rooms and chambers contained within these impressive walls. For now, let me simply recount the amenities. There are your very own set of personal apartments, of course, all furnished as befits a castle of this magnitude. Solid furniture, feather beds, a fireplace, and all else that is needed for comfortable medieval living. There are hallways leading up to the high towers, and down to the dungeon and the cellars. There is even a stone bathroom beneath the main courtyard. It has a steam room, several small hot pools, as well as a large cold pool, and a sauna, and a massage chamber. Elsewhere in the castle, there are cooking halls and storage rooms and a receiving hall and ballroom, where you may preside over whatever functions and gatherings you see fit to host here. For you can bring others into your personal sanctum, just as I have brought you here myself. And they will be free to explore all the halls and hallways and passages and cellars of this place, as will you yourself, for as long as you choose to keep them here. They must, of course, be escorted back out of the sanctum in the same fashion as you bring them in. Only you will be able to operate the item focus, and thus ingress to and egress from the sanctum, once it has been purchased by you. I should add that with the castle, as with each other sanctum I have on offer, there are one or more, let us call them constructs for the moment, who will act as domestic servants and see to the general service and maintenance of the sanctum. These constructs possess all the necessary skills and abilities to perform their tasks to perfection. They are somewhat free-willed and imaginative, so they don't need to be micromanaged. But they will always obey the orders given them, and with enough time, they can even become decent conversationalists. They exist in a neutral form, but can be shaped into more specific forms by the will of the master of the sanctum. What form that may be is entirely up to you. What do you think so far? Do you find this sort of thing interesting? I thought so. Let's have a look at something a little different, shall we? I'll just put this stone sculpture back, and in its place I will show you this wonderfully detailed model of an airship from another age. You'll recognize it, of course. It's a model of a very famous airship, one that tragically crashed and burned. Very sad. But the sanctum that this model represents, it is quite safe. It operates on different principles, some of them not as scientific as those which govern the aircraft of your world. Shall we proceed inside? Behold, we stand now in the lounge of as fine a luxury airship liner as ever sailed the skies of the mortal realm. Everything here is done in the finest tastes and styles of airship design. Polished brass surfaces, the most elegant wooden furniture, many windows of clearest glass. There is even an observation deck made all of glass, above and below, allowing for incredible views. For this sanctum is in the realm of air. All around us, the wide open vistas, with fields of clouds, and far, far below, the occasional glimpse of land. Let me tell you of this sanctum. I'm afraid there's not much wandering room, being that we are so far up in the sky. Walking areas are at something of a premium, but it's hardly claustrophobic at that. All areas of this airship are accessible. The pilot house is situated at the very front, and from there you can control the flight of the vessel itself. You can also control various aspects of the view outside, such as day or night cycles, the amount of ambient lighting, the weather you wish to observe, and which general land features appear in the distance, though there are limits to what you'll be able to see. This sanctum has been not anchored exactly in its legitimate term. Tethered, yes. This sanctum has been tethered to a certain portion of the realm of air, so that it can't get too close to any of the other realm borders, or too close to the ground itself, merely as a safety precaution to prevent unwanted visitors. Behind the pilot house, you will find the living quarters. They're not very spacious given their location, but much care has been taken to design them with great economy of space. You will never feel cramped in any of the living quarters aboard, and everything necessary is within easy reach. As with the last sanctum, there are a few service constructs who act as staff and crew for the airship. They can be tailored in detail and design according to your wishes. Should you need a bit more breathing room, there is the lounge, of course. But there is also a cozy library room, small but well stocked with books of all kinds. In addition, there is a galley kitchen, an exercise room, a steam room and shower, and the engine room and the glass observation deck at the rear of the vessel. There is also an internal walking circuit located above the gondola, up inside the main structure of the airship itself. It runs in a long loop along both sides, and turns round at the front and rear. It's long enough that one can use it for running exercises, but short enough that one or two circuits will be quite sufficient for a leisurely stroll after dinner. And above all of this, above the gondola, above the walking stage, above all the gas bags and cables and support structures that make up the rest of the airship, there is the outside observation deck. It is reached by a spiral staircase going up from the walking stage. At the top of the stairs is a metal hatch that opens onto a relatively small platform on the top of the airship. From up there, you may feel the open air, the wind on your face, see the sky all around, and take in the view of the distant horizon. All of this could be yours, if you so choose. But before you do, let me show you what other choices you have. The next sanctum I can offer you a tour of is rather similar to the previous one, but rather smaller. Like the airship sanctum, it is a traveling vessel. But unlike the airship, it travels in the water rather than in the air. See here this copper and steel model of a submarine. It looks almost like a metal fish with its fins and scales, and the great glass orbs of the forward viewports. A bit whimsical looking perhaps, and the design may not be completely sound according to modern science. But who cares for that when science can be set aside in favor of more creative methods? Place your hand upon the model, so. This submarine sanctum will take you deep beneath the waves, in the realm of water. As such, it is somewhat limited in what you can observe with regards to the more terrestrial realms of the chaos. However, it will at least allow you to go to the surface from time to time, so that you can enjoy the wind on your face. And from there you can see what can be seen of the other realms from the surface of the waters. I think you will find, though, that you'll spend most of your time in this sanctum beneath the surface. There are many interesting places that you can explore at your leisure. As I said, this sanctum is rather smaller than the last, though most of that missing space comes from the lack of the upper walking deck, the gas bag structures, and the top observation platform of the airship. You may find the general design of this submarine vessel to be similar to the airship. Both designs are meant to make the most of the limited space involved. The submarine vessel is perhaps a bit more compressed in its use of open spaces, but it makes up for that with variety. At the forepart of the sanctum, you will find the pilot house, along with a viewing deck that allows you to look out from those two gigantic viewports you saw on the model. Aft of the pilot house, you will find the comfortable, cozy sleeping quarters. They're not exactly cramped, but they are meant to be more as a place to sleep, rather than a place to be awake. There are other parts of the sanctum more suited for that, such as the library lounge, which we are presently in. Yonder lies the passage to the sleeping quarters and pilot house, and opposite, further aft, you may find the dining room, the galley, the excursion chamber, the cargo hold, and the engine room at the stern. This particular submarine has a slightly more specialized construct crew. It consists of a pilot, who generally remains forward in the pilot house, an engineer, who sees to the physical repairs of the engine and the sanctum as a whole, a chef, who will see to your every desire when it comes to the culinary arts, and a personal assistant, who will act as a combination of butler or maid and tour guide. Yes, I say tour guide because in this particular sanctum you will have a chance to see many, many things underneath the vast surface of the realm of water. Many, many things. And you will be glad of having someone near to hand who can explain to you what you are seeing. And, should you so choose, and if your personal assistant feels the local environment is safe enough, you can even put on your very own personally fitted diving apparatus and venture forth into the waters. Oh, the things you will see, tramping along the sandy bottoms of the lagoons near the borders of the realms of water and forest, the coral reefs, the kelp forests, the peaceful grottos. Or you can stand on the edge of an underwater cliff and view the unholy spectacle of the river of flame, pouring from the realm of fire into the depths of the border between water and the void. Or any number of other fantastic sights. What say you? A wise decision. What do we have to show you next, I wonder? Ah, yes. I mentioned the realm of fire just now. Perhaps that would be a good sanctum to offer you next. Here is another sculpture of stone. This one greatly resembles a lofty mountain peak, perhaps one of the highest. But if you look closer, you can see little paths carved across it, stairways in miniature, and dozens of little windowed openings and doorways. This is a model of the sanctum on offer in the realm of fire. Shall we take a quick tour? We stand now in the amphitheater near the top of the fire sanctum. This sanctum is located on and within one of the tallest peaks overlooking the Lake of Fire, deep within the heart of the realm of fire. From this very cave, you can look out over the plains and right across the flaming surface of the lake. Of a quiet, peaceful evening, you can sit up here and watch the devils dance along the shore, or lose yourself in the shimmer of heat drifting up from the lake itself. You might even catch a glimpse of one of the elemental leviathans which live within the liquid fires. This sanctum is a bit like the first one I showed you, in the realm of Earth. Though, unlike that one with its cold, brooding stone structures, you will find that this fire sanctum retains a very comfortable, easy temperature throughout its caves and caverns, although calling them such is hardly fair. Indeed, this sanctum is so riddled with windows and skylights that nearly every room feels rather like a stone-built cottage, rather than caves on the side of a mountain. The theme of these rooms is rather more modern, too, than the rough and stark bricks of the castle. The design here calls to mind rather a stately manor house made of stone and mortar, with some extra luxuries, of course. The sanctum boasts a number of sleeping quarters, a library, a drawing room with excellent lighting, a dining room, a comfortable kitchen with inset eating table beside a window overlooking the Lake of Fire. It also has a number of rooms suited to small gatherings of friends, and a ballroom and audience hall for larger functions. There is even a viewing deck on the very height of the mountain top, from which you can see in every direction. And below there are many cellars and pantries and other multi-purpose chambers. And beneath all, a natural cavern featuring mineral hot springs and a broad, cool swimming pool. Every room and passage is well lit by either generous windows and skylights in the outward-facing rooms, or by glowing crystal lanterns in the interior chambers. You will find a complete staff of consort servitors here as well. Yes, you have a question. The screaming. Ah, yes, I know what you mean. That is merely the ambient sound of the chaos realms as they interact with each other. The fundamental vibrations of each of the 9 realms, resonating throughout this entire vast plane of existence. You'll not hear it in every sanctum. For instance, in the sanctum of Earth, we were too far under layers of rock and soil for the sound to penetrate. And in the sanctum of water, the liquid medium surrounding the vessel will mute the sound, unless you be very near the surface. But you might remember hearing a muffled echo of the screaming in the sanctum of air. You get used to it after a while. Very few of my customers have ever been driven wholly mad by it. A few of them even find it a comfort. In this sanctum, I think you'll find the screaming most audible on the outside portions, less so the deeper below ground you go. Quite probably you won't be able to hear it at all in the cellars or the hot springs below. But of course, we're only halfway through the list of things I have to show you. Now then, next item is... the mobile sanctum in the realm of Step. I have the model right here, It is a whimsical thing, is it not? A house built of logs, with a steep roof of long grass and low shrubbery, and moss growing on the sides, and the whole of it supported on two giant legs like those of some massive bird. This sanctum, yes? I would advise you not to speak that name too loudly, especially at such times we are within one of the Chaos Realms, and especially when you are there alone. Certain names have power to them, and to speak her name too loudly may draw her to you, and she does not like to be bothered. Very well. Let us have a look at what this sanctum has to offer, then. Here now you see the living room of the Planestrider Sanctum of the realm of Steppe. This is a cozy little log cabin. It's not much to look at compared with the elegant furnishings of the previous locations. Simple decorations, functional furniture, all handmade. In fact, nearly everything in this sanctum was put together using only manual labor and hand-powered tools. But that has a charm all of its own, don't you think? This sanctum is a little bit different from those shown previously, in that it is larger on the inside than the outside. Someone out there on the grasslands we are traversing would look up and see merely a little log cabin on legs, walking along as they do, and guess that it only had 1 or 2 rooms. But on the inside, here we have the living room, but beyond that doorway you'll find a kitchen with stone cooking hearth, and a trap door in the floor leading down into a cold cellar. Also in the kitchen is a stairway leading up into the 2nd floor, where the sleeping quarters are to be found, 3 on each side of a long hallway. And at the end of that hallway, another staircase leads up to the 3rd floor, which has been filled with all sorts of plants and mosses and decorative grasses and shrubs. A tiny little log cabin conservatory, in fact. A pleasant place to spend your time, and I should add, commanding a splendid view of the plains in all directions. This sanctum comes with but a single servitor construct, as befitting of the more humble furnishings and the relatively smaller size, though I think you'll find that the one is quite sufficient for the needs of such a dwelling. Now, I'm sure you'll want to know about the legs on the cabin. That's a common design for dwellings out here in the realm of Steppe, where everything takes a long time to get to, and there's not much else to do but walk around. So, the cabin does that. It will walk around on its own, according to its own instincts, unless you tell it to go in a specific direction or to a certain place. It is quite capable of swimming and of jumping incredible distances, so getting across rivers and the like is no obstacle to travel. And before you ask, the interior of the sanctum is stabilized against any sudden movements from the exterior portion, so while the sanctum may leap and turn and caper about, you would scarcely even notice, without you looked out a window and saw the sudden motions of the landscape. Indeed, even now, the only way to tell the cabin is moving at all is the rhythmic thumps of the legs as it strides along. I will admit, there's not too much to look at out here in the great wide open, unless you like the look of flat grasslands all around and the open sky above. Some folk find it charming, but it's too much for others. But if you like sitting on the front porch of a quaint little cabin on legs and staring off into the distance, in a place with nowhere to go and all the time in the world to get there, this might well be the perfect little sanctum for you. But let us not be too hasty. I still have more to show you. Do you need anything just now? A moment to collect your thoughts. Very well. The next item that I have here to hand, representing yet another personal sanctum, is this carved coat stand in the shape of a tree. See how the base of it is carved to look like the trunk of a tree as it spreads out just before disappearing into the ground, and how it branches out near the top, spreading out the beginnings of branches upon which one might hang a coat or a hat or a scarf. And right here at the top, a whimsical little treehouse. Ah, I know what you're thinking. The last sanctum was a little cabin, so this will be little more than a box in a tree, yes? Well, this sanctum is similar to the previous one, in that it, too, is larger on the inside than the outside. Prepare to be pleasantly amazed. Place your hand on the coat stand with me. We are now in the realm of forest. The sanctum on offer here is indeed a treehouse, as you might have guessed from the model. But it is quite literally a house, built in the top of a tree. And not just any tree. This house is built in the very crown of a wrath tree, which towers 1,000 feet above the forest floor. Such trees are mighty indeed, standing far taller than anything growing in your own humble mortal realm. So there is plenty of room to build in them, and thus plenty of room in this sanctum. Everything within this dwelling is constructed to blend in with the natural surroundings. The floors and walls and ceilings all have an organic appearance, a feeling of having been grown rather than built. You will find very few joints or angles here, and those few are cleverly disguised to add to the feeling of a single living structure. The windows, the doors, the skylights, all appear to be naturally occurring apertures. There are many, many rooms in this sanctum. Some are large and open like this one, and built out on the branches of the wrath tree. Other smaller rooms are hollowed out of the trunk of the tree, and are more enclosed. All, however, keep to the theme of organic growth and natural form and function. There are sleeping rooms, with beds of soft moss and leaves and bracken fern. Also there are hammocks woven of thin vines, with curtains of trailing vines hanging around each sleeping place. Similar curtains of leaves and vines hang across each doorway, and the windows are framed by the same sort of decoration. You will find greenery in every little nook and corner, and growing out in all directions, but it never will seem to get in your way. Indeed, some of it will actively move out of your way if you gently push it aside. The door curtains, for example. A light touch is all that is needed for them to clear a path for you as you pass from room to room. Many of the rooms also feature fountains or little water decorations on one or more walls. These have a generally calming, soothing effect on the atmosphere of a room, and also help to keep the place humid and cool. The kitchen section of this sanctum is near the outer edge of the structure, on its own little raised platform. The entire cooking hearth is built up on a layer of specialized tree bark that looks like stone, but is in fact a sort of incredibly fire-resistant organic material. It would not do for a cooking fire to accidentally set the entire tree ablaze. Not that such a fire would be likely at all, but best to be safe. Now, as to the view, I think that is as much of a recommendation for this sanctum as the actual structure itself. All around us, for miles in every direction, lies the carpet of treetops of the realm of forest. These trees are tall, very tall as the tallest trees from your mortal realm. However, they do but form the level surface over which the Wrath towers toward the heavens. Look out across this sea of greenery. Every so often, all about, you can see yet another Wrath standing tall over the other trees, as does this one we are in. One might almost think this a savanna grove, with the giant trees growing above nothing more than a low layer of shrubs and bushes. But no, these shrubs and bushes below us are mighty trees themselves, growing hundreds of feet tall, and still falling well short of the splendid height of this lofty sanctum. Sometimes of a morning, you can look out and see naught but a sea of fog, covering all but the Wrath trees. And at night, when the light has gone completely, you can watch the myriad of nighttime insects, which spark and shine and glow as they dance their way over the treetops. You may even receive a visit from some of the local wildlife, most likely a friendly harpy or curious flying lizard. They are quite harmless, I assure you. As with the cabin sanctum of the realm of Steppe, this sanctum comes with but a single servitor construct, but that one is quite sufficient, as the growing plants and vines of the sanctum do a considerable amount of the cleaning and tidying on their own. I do feel it incumbent upon me to advise you that there is one slight, shall we say, potential hazard attached to this particular location. Nothing major, you understand. But the realm of forest has, on rare occasion, been subject to minor incursions by the Fae. There's nothing to be concerned about up here, though. The incursions have been mostly made by Ruelves or various other armed agents of some Fae lord or other. But not to worry. This part of the forest is regularly patrolled by the fiercest of hunter demons, who specialize in tracking down and eliminating the myriad sorts of Fae, including elves of all description. You will be quite safe up here in this treetop sanctum. I doubt even Ruelves would climb this high. Probably. Anyway, that is but a minor and small concern which need not trouble you. Shall we resume the tour of my wares? Splendid. Now, let me see if I remember where that other model went. However, did that end up there? Here we have another sculpture, this one done in fine, clear, delicate crystal, with many twisted horns and spires. It represents a sanctum in the realm of ice. Let me show you what this sanctum has to offer. Behold the grand hall of this, the Sanctum of Ice. It is by far the largest space in the entire sanctum, and resembles the marvelous great halls of your history's most opulent castles and manors. But of course there is more to this sanctum than a mere grand hall. Doors lead out from every wall, and there are scores of rooms along the myriad hallways. In design, this sanctum is also rather similar to the castle in the Sanctum of Earth, only larger, as there is more space to work with up here above ground. The walls, floors, and ceilings all are made from a peculiar kind of ice, found only in this realm. Cold as the breath of Kixrickle, the demon prince of this realm. Hard as the hardest stone, and clear as the clearest crystal. Though of course the master of this sanctum, and that could well be you, you know, can with but a thought make any or all of the ice to be clear or cloudy, or even of different colors. And the cold does not penetrate further than the ice itself, though it be cold to the touch, aye, very cold indeed. It does not chill the air, and you can, of course, have it decorated with rugs and carpets and hangings and the like, all to suit your fancy. There is great potential indeed for interior decorating here. Aside from the grand hall, nearly all of the other rooms in this sanctum can be converted to whatever purpose you desire, with whatever furnishings you may fancy. And you can put the windows wherever you please. In its current state, the entire sanctum is one giant window. Construct servitors for this sanctum take on a humanoid form, rendered in an opaque, icy material. They can, of course, be reshaped and detailed as you see fit. There are a couple of things to note in this sanctum. Firstly, you will take notice of the lack of flames here, either in grate or torch or lamp. There is no danger of melting anything. The entire structure is made of an ice that is quite resistant to heating of any kind. But the use of flames simply does not mesh with the aesthetic of the place. So you will notice that all the lighting is done with glow ice of various kinds, colors, and sizes. Likewise, the fireplaces are but glowing facsimiles of what one might find in the Sanctum of Earth, though they still give off the same heat as a natural fireplace, though using no fuel. One can merely adjust the intensity of the light and heat given off with a wave of the hand, or a word, or a thought. Also, there is the view to be considered from what you might call the east end of this hall, and indeed from any point in the entire structure which has an eastern exposure. This sanctum is located in a part of the realm of ice that is not very far from its overlap with the realm of water. Thus, when one turns to the east, or rather where the light becomes brightest first of a morning, one may look out over the stunning spectacle of the Sea of Frost. All manner of cold, icy, wintry precipitation and weather may be seen passing across this vast stretch of half-frozen water. It presents a beautiful view from within the comfort of this sealed environment. But I would highly advise against going outside for a closer look. The weather outside is unconcerned with the limitations of human physiology. Well then, I have one more location to show you. A moment, please. The model I want seems to have floated off again. Ah, here it is, trying to drift into the storage room again. Not today, my little pretty. Now, let me direct your attention to this wonderful model. It is a rotating cylinder with all the trappings of a fanciful model of a space colony. Let us see what wonders are to be found within. You may as well look up first and get that shock out of the way. Yes, it is a little disconcerting at first. This sanctum is entirely inside of a large rotating cylinder, very much like to the model I showed you in the shop as regards appearance. It is perhaps a mile in diameter and some 20 miles long, and, as you might guess from seeing the opposite side of it hanging above our heads, you can walk to any point on the main interior simply by walking to it. There's plenty of room to work with in here, as you can see. Indeed, this is the largest of the sanctums that I have on offer in terms of area, and it can be filled and decorated entirely to your own taste, partly in the initial purchase phase, should you choose it, and partly on your own account once you take possession. The sanctum's servitors will assist with that. There are a score of these, all created of a sort of bone or plastic-like material mined elsewhere in the Chaos Realms. I'm afraid that's a set characteristic of the servitors here, though you can reshape them to some extent as suits your requirements and desires. They will still be of that same demon bone material. Where is everything? Well, you see, this being such a large sanctum, area-wise, not all of it is here yet. The inside of the cylinder can be altered to suit you, as I previously mentioned. You can install structures, plants and trees, animals, or whatever else you choose. But beneath this ostensible outdoor surface, there is also another layer to this rotating cylinder. It is all indoor space, as it were, and would make for quite sufficient dwelling space for an entire city of humans, to say nothing of a single occupant. All the indoor spaces are decorated in a rather futuristic theme. White plastic, brushed steel, transparent panels, but you can change it up if you find you don't like it. How very droll. I just had a mental image of just such a cylinder as this, but done entirely as a greenhouse and conservatory, with nothing but plants and greenery and polished wood for structure inside and out. Perhaps you might choose that option. But if not, there are many other ways that one could fit out such a gigantic sanctum as this. There is access to the outside surface of the cylinder, but I wouldn't go out there if I were you. Although the portion of the realm of void where we currently are is not dangerous to go about in. Quite frankly speaking, it's rather boring out there. Nothing to look at but the stars, really. However, as it is a rotating cylinder, you can do some fun things to the interior. For example, you can slow the rotation somewhat to reduce the perceived gravity within, for it is the rotation of the entire structure which imparts the sense of gravity. And along the axis of the cylinder, there is a zone of zero gravity. You could fly there, or float, or engage in all manner of sports and other activities. Of all the sanctums I have shown, this one, I think, is the most well-suited to hosting very large and long-duration parties. But, like all the others, it can really be put to nearly any use that your mind can encompass. Now, Shall we go back to my shop and perhaps come to some terms on a purchase? Yes. What would you know? 8 in total. We have toured a grand total of 8 Sanctum locations. Correct. There are 9 realms of the chaos. Earth, air, water, fire, steppe, forest, ice, void, and abyss. No, I do not offer a sanctum in the realm of abyss. It is not a safe place for humans. There is nothing there. No, I mean that quite literally. Nothing is there. And it would find you. And you do not want that. I have shown you all I have to offer in this line. Let us return to the shop. So, my friend, what do you think of these wonderful locations that we have toured? Do any of them strike your fancy in particular? Should you like to purchase one? Oh, I think you know my price. These are very simple transactions. You sign a contract, which lays out the particulars of the thing that you will transfer into my care and keeping. And in return, I supply that which you desire in the line of personal, private localities. Exactly. The use and access to the sanctum of your choice, however you choose to do so, in exchange for your immortal soul. It's a fair price, really. You won't notice a jot of difference between how you feel now versus after you sign. And once you've shuffled off this mortal coil, you'll have no further need of it. I can give you some time to think it over, but I would strongly suggest doing your thinking here. Were you to leave the shop, I'm not so certain you'd be able to find it again. And this sort of opportunity doesn't come along every day. So, sit for a while and gaze upon the various models which represent each sanctum we have visited. Search your mind and ask yourself what you would give to possess access to one of these places, and the things you might do with them. Think carefully. I'll give you some time alone. Just ring the bell if you need anything.